Well, I'm getting set up, so I'm going to go ahead and take Caleb Williams number one, just because really to me, even whether it's super flex or not, um, I want quarterbacks who I feel like can anchor my team for the next 10 to 12 years. Now, if most of you who do listen to me on a regular basis know I'm very skeptical about most quarterbacks and would tell you that most of them don't deserve to be drafted in the first round. But this guy, I think, is essentially childproof, and the Bears have just progressed from childhood to adolescence in terms of their organizational structure, and figured out after wasting their time, messing around with Justin Fields and really kind of ruining his early developmental opportunity. I don't think they're going to do that with Williams. Great weapons around him. He's going to certainly have moments of hero ball, but they're not massive issues in the way that, say, Mitchell Trubisky had massive issues. So I'm a big fan, and I love to start off a franchise with him as my number one overall pick, who I think I'm going to have Aaron Rodgers like development. I mean, maybe like faster than that, but he's going to develop into an Aaron Rodgers type of player and be a long-term top 5 to top 7 quarterback.
Yeah, people know my feelings on Caleb Williams at this point, and especially the Bears ecosystem and what they've set him up with, which is truly, I mean, terrific. I can't remember, like you said, I can't remember very many young quarterbacks getting dropped into a better set of circumstances from an on-field standpoint. Of course, there's the Bears question of it all, and that does, of course, bear watching. So there's all that, right? But I'm curious from your perspective, just because for people who don't know Matt's work, it's some of the most detailed, like sickeningly detailed work that you're ever going to find in the industry. And I say that with love as somebody that does a lot of sickeningly detailed work
We're
myself.
Fellow sickos.
We are truly fellow sickos, my friend. There's no question about that. But part of what I love about your work is that not only do you go into an incredible level of detail with the current class, you show your work from like a wide historical perspective. And I think that's just like so invaluable for the readers and listeners and watchers if you're just paying attention to an evaluator. So with that in mind, when you look through like RSP history, how good of a prospect is Caleb Williams in your mind? Because you're so right. You are not easy on these quarterbacks.
No, I'm not, because I would argue that I'm kind of ahead of the game in terms of the value of processing information. That's something that I've always had embedded with what I do. So a lot of these guys who get drafted who have like the big arm, nice size, went to a big name school and had big box score production, they don't impress me. And they generally are guys that fail out because what goes on between the ears and how fast and confidently they can deliver that information. Execute that information from the moment they spot it is important. So Caleb Williams he had a score of 85, which on my 100-point scale is an instant starter. 85 is that point. Most guys who are like Joe Burrow, for instance, was like, I think, an 81, 82, somewhere in that range. And I have a couple of guys that were anomalies. For instance, Skylar Thompson had an 87 score, and I knew it was an anomaly. I literally even listed him number one 2 years ago and said it's an anomaly. I think he's going to have value, but he's not even likely to get drafted. And so the fact that he played as well as he did was, probably a testament to that. But most of the time, guys like Mitchell Trubisky, guys like that, are in like the 76 to 79 range, and a lot of these quarterbacks are in that way. So I would say Caleb Williams over the past 5 years, Patrick Mahomes scored an 87 or an 88. And that was probably one of the best up there. So I would say
one of your
Williams
like all-time best hits is the Patrick Mahomes scouting report.
I probably share my Patrick Mahomes scouting report at least every other week, and I will probably do that until I die. So I mean, I don't care, because it's that hard to hit on something like that, and that's a career bucket list moment for me. That and probably Lamar and him, But yeah, Caleb is up there with those guys. He may be on the lower end of, where Mahomes was, but that's where I'm at. And I know Will Hewlett, who is the pre-draft coach for Caleb and for Brock Purdy and Anthony Richardson. And I contribute scouting reports to them months before I do the RSP. And, I just had Caleb on. I mean, I just had Will on talking about Caleb, and he talked about different things with like T-spine rotation and the flexibility of throwing and his ability to process information and how good he was with control in terms of throwing at high velocity and low velocity while still having control of the ball with a high spin rate. So you see a guy with all the tools, and the things that he's up and down about, he has more highs than lows with the conceptual part of the game. And he doesn't tend to repeat mistakes within the same game. Where someone like, say, Zach Wilson, he threw a pretty ball at times, but when people really chart accuracy, sometimes they don't really understand what they should be charting. Even if they understand scheme, they could be total brainiacs with X's and O's, but what they should be charting of what's accurate, what's pinpoint accurate, what's not pinpoint accurate. Caleb Williams has all those tools. He's very accurate, and he makes consciously good decisions. And when he makes mistakes, he usually corrects them in game. I mean, it's there. I mean, he's probably one of the top 5 to 7 guys I've studied.